Invocation, Hal Palmer.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the joy that you allow us to bring to this meeting. The experiences that we share that makes us one big Lion family. We want to thank you for the food that you gave us this day, the conference this weekend. We want to bless Dolly and Doug while they're resting in Arizona, if they really can rest. As I look at this club and what we've done in this community, you have continued to bless us over and over and over again with people of service, people of love and caring. We ask that you continue to do that. And I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge by David Smith.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Song by Marilyn Patterson.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of thy pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Right on!
All right.
So much better than last week.
All right, Terry Warder, guest please.
King Lion, Darlene, fellow Lions and guests. We do have a couple of guests. Greg Churchill has his favorite guest again.
President Darlene, Lions and guests. Grandson Logan is with us again today. And want to give him a thank you for helping out at Kettle Corn on Friday. Get more work out of you, Logan, than getting out of me. Awesome.
Absolutely. He had that and just went returning to the meeting. And President Darlene is to introduce a guest.
We have a guest, Lewis Harlan. He is supposedly turned in his application. And he's over here, and he's just checking out our meeting again. Okay, some announcements. Greg Firth, you want to?
I wonder how many times I'm going to traverse this one today.
President Darlene, fellow Lions guests, got 3 announcements. Number 1 is a reminder on the membership coming up. Through the end of June, there is no initiation fee. And then we prorate the rest of it through the end of the year. Okay, before I came to the meeting today, I went over to see Cindy Sessions, her Adopt a Senior program. I have names of seniors from all over the area, and those that want to take part in this, see me right after the meeting, and we'll get you the information and go from there. And the third announcement, tomorrow evening, 6:30 at Canterbury Park, we are meeting in person for the first time in a long time for our Sight and Hearing Foundation meeting. That's where we review applications for eyeglasses and hearing aids. And then anybody that wants to come, you're more than welcome. More than welcome. You can see what we do and see where some of our money that goes that we raise through our chuck wagon and the kettle corn and whatnot. Thank you.
Time, Greg.
6:30.
And Pat has, if you're going to adopt a senior, he has the cards if you'd like to pick that up also. Okay. Ken Matero, anything for zone? Okay. Sunshine Report, Marge.
Thank you for my aerobics brother. President Darlene, fellow members and guests, Jim Waters is in the hospital, and I will send him a card today.
Okay, no, Jim's home, but he went to California last week to visit relatives, and he fell. Ended up in the hospital for 2 days because he's on a blood thinner. So he is bruised from his hip down past his knee, and his legs swollen and stuff. Because I talked to him yesterday, and he kind of says, well, maybe I'll try to show up because he's program chair for May. And his wife goes, no, you're not. So he is doing better though. So Jim Waters. Okay. If you need to sign up for kettle corn, you need to talk to Lloyd.
We'll pass it around in a minute.
Okay, we'll pass it around in a minute. There's no board meeting this month. I sent an email out and nobody said they needed it. Dina?
Awards meeting, annual awards meeting on the 19th.
At noon.
Wednesday,
Okay.
19th.
So annual awards meeting at the shop at noon on the 19th of May, next week.
Correct.
Okay, Louis Pickett.
President Darlene, Lyons and guests, we did the fishing for the kids over at the lake, and for us volunteering to do that, Bob's gave us discount tickets here for 20% off in the fishing department. So if anybody wants one, let me know.
Okay, you got a few.
Okay, keep your hands up and I'll give them to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Sandy Cat.
Okay, yeah, you're already in shape, come on.
President Darby, fellow Lions and guests, the Education Committee has been working hard to select this year's recipients for our 6 scholarships. Because of the continuing threat of COVID and additional people coming to our meetings live, we are going to have a recognition program via Zoom on Friday to honor the scholarship recipients. I believe you received the Zoom link. Some sort of feedback. Did you
Yeah.
receive the Zoom link?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, please consider joining us. If you're unable to join us on Friday, the meeting will be recorded and rebroadcast at our club meeting next Tuesday. But we'd love to have some energy on Friday and kind of that congratulations for our recipients on Friday at noon. You should have the link.
So we will, that's our program chair for next week. It's going to be the rebroadcasting of the scholarships. Okay, Tom Fulton?
President Darlene, fellow Lions and guests, just to let you all know that on June 12th will be my, whatever you call it, coming into the line.
Installation assembly?
That's what it is. Somebody's putting it on. Thank you.
November on June 12th, that's what's happening.
Yeah, June 12th.
Is there a cost yet?
Where at?
We call it lockup.
Okay, they'll have more information next week on it, so, all right. All right, any other announcements? That's what I have on my, okay. I would then like to introduce our guest speaker today, and I know I'm gonna kill your name, but.
Tevye.
Tevye Waite, he is from Evergreen Prosthetics and Orthotics, and he's gonna give us a little information down south first before he starts his speech.
Yeah, thank you. President Darlene, Lions and fellow guests. All right. My name is Tevye, and you may know that from the movie The Fiddler on the Roof. Yep, that's where it came from. I do sing, but only in the confines of my shower, so you'll never get the privilege of that. I don't play the fiddle, and neither did my character in the movie. But my daughter does, and I started with 3 of them until I got my the fourth child was a son. I told my wife if we got 5 daughters like he had in the film, we'd have to change all their names to the film characters. But she wasn't too keen on that. Well, thank you for letting me come and talk, I guess, about prosthetics and orthotics. I didn't start out my working career in this field. I started out, my first degree was in history, and I worked in a museum for 6 years, and then decided that I liked working with live and moving things more than, as cool as they are, dead and stationary things. Live and mostly moving things, I should say, or things that are trying to move. Like Phil. Phil knows me well, yes. And so I started looking for a new career and looked at lots of different things. And in the meantime, continued my life, which included playing soccer. And one day, right as I was about to score the winning goal, for sure, I tore my ACL. Ball missed, but had I not fallen, I would have scored that goal, I know it. But anyway, I tore my ACL and I had to go to a orthotist to get a knee brace because my knee wouldn't stay in place. And there was a light bulb moment for me when the guy came out and put a knee brace on me. And he had on a jacket that still had like paint smears and dust on it. And I thought, what in the world is this guy, what's a painter doing putting a knee brace on me? And so as I looked into it, I realized that this is it's a field where you build things, you make things, and also you get to help people walk better, get back to life as good as they can if they've had injuries or other conditions that may necessitate it. So I went back to school to get a master's degree, which I got up at the University of Washington, and then completed 2 years of residency. One of those was at the Shriners Hospital. And the other one was the company I work for now, Evergreen Prosthetics and Orthotics. And so when you get a degree in this field, your title is Prosthetist Orthotist. Yeah. So say prosthetist 10 times fast.
Yeah, say it twice fast.
Yeah. So when I called my mom and said I was going to become a prosthetist on the phone, she didn't hear me quite right. And there was a long pause, and then I explained it to her what it was, and she was a little more okay with it. Our job, it's prosthetics and orthotics. Basically, if a person can wear it, that falls under our scope of practice. It goes inside your body like an artificial knee, a prosthetic knee that's internally, that's not us. It's anything externally that you wear, even from your head down to your feet, toes. And prosthetics replaces things that are missing. Orthotics straightens out things or support things that are there but not quite working right. Okay? So a lot of what we do, people come to us primarily because they've got three reasons why people are referred to come to a prosthetist or an orthotist. Obviously, if you're missing a limb, that's a good reason to come to us. Legs, hands, arms, anything like that, then we make a prosthetic that would replace that. But also, if there's pain in a joint or a body part, maybe you've got a broken bone, it needs to be set, or just arthritic pain because of torn tendons or ligaments. So people come to us because of pain. People come to us because their function, muscles aren't quite working right. Maybe they have foot drop, maybe they've had an injury or a spinal injury, and so limbs aren't working quite like they should, and a brace can help support that. So pain, instability, that's what we would say there, instability, or fear of deformity or an existing deformity. So sometimes when a body starts to break down, it can't support itself like it needs to anymore. Joints start to become deformed. It's kind of a hard word to say, but that's what it is. And so braces can be made to help either delay the progress of the deformity or stabilize it and help a person stay up on their feet, and trying to enjoy life as the best they can. So, and then every now and then we also help People can get sores, bed sores or ulcers or sores on their feet from neuropathy, something like that, usually caused by diabetes. And they need help protecting skin that can't feel very well and is prone to getting sores. So we do a lot of stuff, a shoe program, diabetic shoe program that helps protect feet and hopefully avoid ulcers or sores. So, so yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I just said everything. I think it needs to be said about our job. No, I'm just kidding. But that is the basics of it. That's what we do, and that's why I got into this field. Somebody comes in either because they don't have a limb, or like I had when I was a patient. My knee wasn't stable on its own because of the torn ACL, and get a brace on so that I can get back to working, playing, whatever. So the rewards of that are definitely worth it. And another benefit for me as a person who has attention issues and can get distracted by anything is that my job is ever changing. It's never the same thing over and over again. Every time a new person walks in, even though I might be doing something that I've done 100 times, I've never done it on that person yet. And that person's foot or knee or whatever is different every time. The things that they do at home are different every time and need to be heard and accommodated in a way that is meaningful to them. So I brought a bunch of stuff to show, or I don't know, set up. So I'll just set them up there. They can be passed around. I'll start with the bottom, I guess. So foot orthotics, plantar fasciitis, heel pain, basically any pain in your foot can often be addressed with custom foot orthotic. And you've probably heard about those. There's a lot of different ways to get these. You can buy them off the shelf. You can get them at other stores. But the main idea is to support the foot in a better position so that it's not stretching unduly the plantar fascia or wearing out the joints or something. So foot orthotics, the one that I accidentally started too soon, we call that an AFO, an ankle foot orthosis, or an ankle brace. Somebody has an injury to a nerve that causes their foot to not respond anymore and get foot drop. Foot drop's a really dangerous, surprisingly dangerous condition because of what happens if you catch your toe. It's not your toe that you're worried about, it's your hip or your wrist that you stick out to catch yourself. It's your head that you're worried about hitting on a couch or something like that when you fall. So foot drop is a really common thing that people are sent to us for. And so this little brace right here goes in. If your own muscles aren't holding up your toes, you need something to hold up your toes, and that's what a little brace like that does. And don't assume that because you see one that looks like that that's what they all have to look like. Certain things are going to be similar, but they're custom made, so they're made to fit an individual's foot, and we can do all sorts of stuff to individualize it or make it look better, as good as possible. So, let's see. Knee braces. Anybody ever had any knee pain in this room? In this room, has anybody had knee pain?
2 of them.
Two knee pains. Gotcha. Okay, so knee braces. Knee braces, I mean, there are hundreds of types of knee braces, sporting injuries, but in our field, a lot of it is for arthritic knee pain. Most knee pain, often when it's arthritis, that's on one side of the knee or the other side of the knee, just by the shape of the knee, that's what happens oftentimes. And so knee braces exist that help shift the load off of the sore side of the knee so that it's supported and not grinding on that arthritic bone as much, and can make a really big difference to somebody that's got knee pain, especially if they aren't a good candidate yet for surgery, or surgery's in 6 months but they don't want to walk with pain for 6 months. So a knee brace that can go on and help relieve that knee pain is helpful and really common. So let's see. So those are those. Let's see. Prosthetics. So this is an example of a prosthetic leg for somebody who has a below knee amputation. So I purposely left off the part that makes it look like a natural foot, so you can see what we've got going on in here. But you have an amputation, it's really difficult to enjoy life from a wheelchair, from the level of a wheelchair. And so getting back up on your feet and walking and getting back to life is a paramount importance to somebody who's had an amputation. So so we make the legs. The custom part of the leg is the part that goes onto onto the limb, the residual limb, and it's got to fit perfectly, and there's a big long process that we go through to make that happen. But as you can see, they can be customized to a person's interest. This person loved riding Harley Davidsons, and so every leg that I make for him now has some sort of Harley Davidson symbol on it. And the feet are pretty awesome. You know, these are carbon fiber spring type feet that can accommodate the terrain and can kind of give some pushback and allow a person to move as naturally as possible. I will say this though.
No.
Is it big enough? Because if it's not big enough, I got a bigger one in here.
It's only about 30 ounces of beer you can get.
Well, I think this one's a gallon, so let's see here. All right. So that's for a person with an above knee amputation. So that's got a knee joint there, foot and everything. And as cool as these things are, nothing replaces the thing you were born with. As cool as these things are, there's some cool ones. I couldn't even bring the cooler ones that are, controlled by computers and microprocessors that adapt to the terrain faster than our own brains can. Those exist, and I put those on plenty of people. But they're pretty expensive, and I don't have samples of those. So these are two of the prosthetic things. Again, I've made several arms for people with arm amputations, and they're usually also pretty expensive, and I don't have any of those laying around. Question? Lights? Oh, it's probably just reflective.
Oh.
There are some reflective little stickers on there. Yeah. Yes?
Tell me you don't have a groin hernia.
A groin hernia person up here? Appliance. Actually, believe it or not, we put hernia belts also on people. Anything you wear, we put it on there. Okay, I didn't bring it. I didn't bring that. You might have, I don't know.
How much, most of these covered by insurance or?
I will need a card for later though.
Yeah? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if this would be your thing, but we do mastectomy fit-ins as well. I have a female coworker for people who've had to have mastectomies, so. You asked the cost, coverage, stuff like that. Yeah, these things are incredibly expensive, and almost always covered by a person's insurance. All of the things that I've described are usually covered by insurance. There are some times where an individual plan may not. If you want to take that and pass it on, you can. There are times where individual plans may not cover certain things, but generally all the stuff that we do is covered. And so we look into all of that. If a person has any desire to needs anything, or even just questions whether they need something, a consultation with us is free. There's no cost to that. We'd be happy to talk to you, make a plan, and if you decide to move forward, then we could, and we'd let you know what that is and look into insurance.
Have you made any for kids that want to run?
Yes. So like I said, I worked at the Shriners Hospital, which was awesome for me because it's exclusively kids and pretty incredible stuff. Most kids have fewer amputations than adults, and when kids have amputations, it's often usually a birth deformity that caused the bone to not grow, or another common one would be cancer, that they had to have an amputation, or the most common traumatic reason for kids to have amputations is lawnmowers. Riding on grandpa's lap while mowing the lawn. Yeah. So watch out for that. I know it's fun, but yes.
Can we talk about toes versus no toes? The feet are such complicated pieces of your body.
Yeah.
Can you get the same kind of performance out of that kind of foot? I've seen like extreme athletes with just that.
Yeah.
It's curvier.
Talk about
The curve so they can run.
Or do you not need your toes?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It's a complicated answer. So these would extend up to the toes, and normally this device would have a foot shell on it that covers it that looks like toes. Normally they have toes, except for the athletes that are running, and then those ones don't, and it's a broader, wider curve.
Yeah.
But the ones you see them running in are not the ones they walk around in. They're specific for running and not for walking. They're not as stable for walking. They're built with the idea that you're leaning forward like a runner does, and you're pounding the ground, and so they compress and then they push back. And you don't need, when we run on our toes anyway, so they need less ground contact, and so they're completely different. But to kind of answer your question, we're always trying to find good ways to accommodate the terrain, and your toes help you, especially as you're pushing off at the end of your stride, and they provide balance at that point. And so the spring nature of this material, the carbon fiber, the energy storing capacity, as you lean out on it, it compresses, and then as you step off, it pushes back. And so it does act in ways like a toe. That's a simple answer. It's complicated, and the action usually isn't actually in what you see. Like this foot shell that's on here that kind of makes it look like a foot is not really doing a lot besides making it look like a foot. The magic is in the part that it's covering. And so this one has the split right down the middle. That allows a person, if they stepped on a rock on one side, it wouldn't just jab them over. So one side would flex down and the other one wouldn't, and they would still have better balance.
So do they have to have a different prosthetic for, like, if they want to be one for walking and one for running, if they're 10 or whatever?
So for kids,
Or
yeah, so
adult,
for kids,
whatever.
kids are allowed by their insurances almost anything they want because they're at that age when they're trying to develop and learn to do things like that.
Right.
But it's really inconvenient to pack these things around and take one off and put the other one on for an event. And most kids,
Yeah,
they start from walking and they go to running in an instant. And so we try to make a device that accommodates all of those various things. When it comes to people who are running, like I mentioned, those running legs are for a race or something very specific, and then they put on a regular leg.
Oh.
This one right here would allow a person to run.
Okay.
This design right here would allow a person to run and jump and stuff like that. So, and also walk safely. So,
but there's not like they disconnect and you put on another.
yes and no,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's complicated.
Okay.
So for one, insurance, as you may know, they try not to pay for lots of stuff if they don't have to, and so
Yeah.
it can be complicated. But people do end up with multiple legs. More common would be to have a leg for swimming and a leg for non-swimming activities,
Okay.
because they're so different. Running is just basically walking faster and faster until you're running, and so the foot can be similar. But swimming is a lot different, and sometimes a person can get swim legs, which have paddles or different things that the foot can do. So, yeah, good question. Yeah, yes.
One of our members has a missing foot. He's had more problems with the stump fitting into it than the foot itself.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge that we face is making the socket, which is the part that the stump goes down into, in a way that it fits comfortably and supports them, because that's where it all starts at. If it's a poor fitting socket, then nothing else works well, and it's tough because we're putting a solid device that has to be sturdy enough to carry their weight and hold their weight on a soft limb, and a limb that, as time goes on, changes shape. So the body, the amputated limbs are constantly changing shape from the moment of amputation when they're really swollen, and then they continue to shrink and swell and shrink and swell. And so that's an ongoing challenge. Probably the biggest challenge of our field is to find a way to adapt the socket so that it fits them at any given time. And it's not easy, but there's a lot of different things that we do. But it can be a challenge. And skin is sometimes doesn't have great sensation, and so a person can walk on something that might be rubbing longer than they should and get sore. So yeah, that is what we constantly are chasing.
Ron should have vowed that you're very lucky that this person has appeared today.
Yeah.
They might have thrown their leg at me.
No. You know Milo Collier, and was he any influence in your life?
Well, I didn't know him personally, but I have many of the people that were his patients are my patients, and they have all said really positive things about his skill in this field. And he invented feet that were used for quite a while. People only said good things about those feet. But I did not meet him. I met a worker that worked for him, then came and worked for our company, and I knew.
Is Milo still in the business?
not in this area that I know of. So, good question.
So how long does one of these last?
No, that's a good question. So in theory, they would last 3 to 5 years if nothing changed. If the person didn't, if their limb didn't shrink or swell, which they do, if they didn't lose or gain weight, then it would still be functional. I mean, it's really durable stuff, but almost always the limb changes and the top part at least has to be remade again to match that. And so it's a ongoing process. So you get to see your prosthetist a lot. Yes. Yep, I got one in there right now. So this is a gel liner that is real soft. It's also what keeps the leg on, actually, so that the person would roll this onto their limb. It's real soft and tacky, so it wouldn't slide off. And it's got that pin on the bottom which clicks in, and that's what helps hold it on, and also protect it to a lot of degree, yes.
I once played handball with a guy that had a leg missing and he wore a prosthetic. Did you whoop him? I found it on one of my feet one time when it hurt like
Yes. Yeah, that's right. The higher the amputation, or the closer to the core of the body is, the harder it is to replace. Every part that we have to replace, what you were given, complicates everything more and more.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for presenting for us today. Here's a Longview Hernia Lion mug for your favorite beverage in. We appreciate it. Okay, announcement, no board meeting this month. Sign up for kettle corn if you have not. Scholarship, Zoom, but it will be reshown next Tuesday. But it's at noon on Friday. Okay, how about white tickets?
We can do it.
All right. Thank you.
Just give it to Gary now.
472460.
No way.
All right. Oh, Sue. All right. Okay, orange ticket. 927159. All right, Sharon, where do you want the money to go to? White cane? Okay. So put down white cane on the envelope. Okay, and Jane, desserts? Oh, Tom, you won again.
And whatever gets left over goes to Sue's dinner.
All right. All right, I have from Saturday at the conference, somebody left. If anybody knows who this is, it's a Carol's Lions, but it's got 2 Pioneer Lions, a jacket and a vest underneath it. And somebody brought it to the conference on Saturday and left it. So if you know anybody whose it is, and it's got a little lion head on it, a very old, very small, like an earring on it. So if you know whose this is, we will have it here. Yeah, I don't, Ken?
Get hold of Randy Hahn, that Lions stuff, he'll know who to go.
Okay. Okay.
Carol's moved to Columbus.
Okay, it was just left since I was here at the end, they gave it to me, so. Okay, Cindy, any senility?
Yes, we have Mark Kolschit, he forgot to mark. And I'm not sure if this was a mistake or not, but Mike Parker didn't mark his name either.
Oh!